it's really hard. Jake wanted us all to choose a team that's currently not in a playoff spot that we think can be or will be at the end of the year. I'll go first. The AL, it's hard for me. It looks locked up. It's hard for me to choose any of those teams and say, yeah, they're going to go get a spot. I mean, even the second wild card. In the NL, I think the wild cards are locked up, but I think the East and the Central might be up for grabs. The only two teams in my mind, I'm interested to see where you guys go, are the Reds or the Phillies. They're the only two teams I think could maybe steal the spot, but I like the Brewers and I like the Mets to win. So I'm gonna go Reds, but I don't. But if I just had to choose a team, just on the Brewers record versus over 500 teams being negative record, and the fact that the Reds can be one game out after 3 more wins. They just swept them. They sweep them again. They're one game out. But I mean, I really don't believe that. So I like the Brewers more, but it's hard to choose a team. Jake, did you have one?
Couple things. I think, and I haven't given this speech a lot. Something I like about the podcast and game is you stumble into stuff, and I think there's a couple main takeaways here. If you're a baseball fan, I think you should be rooting for the Cincinnati Reds. If the Reds can make it interesting with the Brewers, they are also the closest wild card team. They're 3.5 out of San Diego. So if San Diego slips up, the Reds can make the Central interesting and the NL wild card interesting. So I think we're all Reds fans. So that's huge news. In the AL, it's the opposite. And Jim, you'll love this. We're rooting against the A's, baby. If the A's come back to earth, there's a lot of decent ball clubs in the mix. And like you guys are saying, everything seems fairly locked up. I wouldn't be surprised in 2 weeks if we're like, well, someone went 10-3 and now it's not. I think if I had to throw a dark horse team out there to maybe trip up the A's and catch them, what about what's going on in Toronto? We're talking about teams fighting for bullpen pieces and pitching. Toronto Blue Jays, they have their young core. So when we did our trade episode on Toronto, I threw Kyle Gibson out there. We love Gibby. We're a Gibby pod. And what it is like they can trade for pieces that can be part of their timeline. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be rentals. If they get Kyle Gibson for the rest of this year and next year, then you say, okay, we just penciled in another starting pitcher for next season. Like, they can up their trade package a little bit because they know they're going to have their young core next year. Like, I don't think they sell off rental pieces. You have your dude, so it's a little optimistic, and hey, I think the betting numbers that DraftKings could give you on it, you can make a chunk of change if it happens, but I'd circle a team like the Blue Jays. Like that franchise believes in their team, that they should be adding to it no matter what. And you just need the Oakland A's to come back to earth just a little bit, and it becomes very real.
You stole my team for me.
Ooh.
I was going to talk about Toronto. They starting pitching's been surprisingly good. They found a guy like Manoah out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere. He's in their system, but he's coming up and had success. Robbie Ray is this year's Dylan Bundy. He's going crazy, and Ryu's been Ryu. It's the bullpen that needs a little bit of help there. And I'll say this. And both teams are just going to prove me wrong. But like the A's and the Rays are kind of in the same boat for me. The Rays, obviously losing Tyler Glasnow's a huge blow to them. They just keep winning. I don't know how. And the A's seemingly just continue to win. And sometimes I look at that team like, how are you guys winning? So I think either one of those teams could slip and they're not going to. But just for the sake of this argument, either one of those teams, it's not like they're like these powerhouses where you're like at least name recognition or on paper or whatever. Like they do find ways to win, but one of those teams can slip. The Rays go make a few, or the Jays go make a few moves. I could see that happening. I have them like the Jays with a better chance than the Yankees.
Before the season, if we said who was the best player on the Toronto Blue Jays, who would you have said it was?
Vladdy.
Not before this season.
I would say, I would have said Bo Bichette probably.
They signed
maybe Marcus Semien.
They signed George Springer to a big boy deal. He's only played 20 games. He's been hurt the whole first half. George Springer is back on that team. He's been hurt. If they can add a little pitching, man, and they're gonna.
I mean, Gibby seems like a must for them.
They're gonna be going back to Toronto. That crowd is gonna be going bonkers when they get back. There's some juice.
Jays need some bullpen help. They want to make this a thing.
Thang. Go get Gibby and Hearn Hunge. Ian Kennedy.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both officially chose the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Trev, take the Phillies. Well, let's share them. Let's each buy half stock.
Well, Blue Jays, according to Baseball Reference, 40% chance to make the postseason.
That's pretty high.
Let's see. The Reds, a little bit under, 38.3. I want to see what the Phillies are. What do you think?
I don't know. Baseball Reference has them as the
35
division winner. Yeah,
35%.